Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Ari, and today we're going to have some more stories about our toxic life. But before we start, it would be so much appreciated if you would subscribe to my channel, like the video, if you enjoy it, and maybe leave a comment down below. These simple clicks would mean a lot to the future of this channel and really reward the effort that I put in every day. And now without further ado, let's go. Today's first story. In this story, OP discovers his wife's year-long affair with their children's bus driver. Despite her attempts to reconcile, the damage is irreversible. The affair cost her reputation, self-confidence, and family. The bus driver's marriage crumbles, leaving him remorseful. He gains primary custody and reflects on the devastation caused by the affair, acknowledging the cheating and its aftermath. Now let's get into the story. At the time of this story, my wife and I were together for 10 years and had 2 sons under the age of 6. My wife was very close to her aging mother and made sure to include her in our family life, even though she lived in a retirement home. Once a week, we'd all go visit her and bring a collection of our sons' toys for them to show her. Soon thereafter, my wife encouraged the boys to make gifts for their teachers and bus driver with grandma's help. At the same time, she started taking her mom out to sightsee and spend some one-on-one time together. The routine was, she'd get the kids off the bus and then start getting ready to go out. Over time, she started seeing her mom twice a week by herself and every other Sunday with all of us. This was a lot, but even still, her mom would always say how much she missed us. I wondered how that could be if she was taking her out all the time, but I just dismissed the thought. One day, my wife had gotten the kids off the bus and came back inside, cheerful as ever. She skipped upstairs to get ready for another outing with her mom. My boy asked to watch a show, so I grabbed my wife's phone off the charger and noticed several missed calls from my son's bus driver. They were both home safe and sound, so I couldn't imagine why there would be so many missed calls from him. I tried to call him back but found that my wife changed the lock on her phone. Instinct took over as I downloaded an app on my phone to disguise my number as my wife's. I set the call to record before I dialed his number. As soon as he answered, he said, "Hi, love. Are you ready for the special date I promised you?" I hung up as soon as I heard this. I went upstairs to find my wife as she got ready, and she looked for me. Ravishing. You could tell she was going on a special date. As soon as she saw me, she started downplaying how nice she looked and explained that her mom wanted her to take pride in her appearance, no matter what the occasion. I played the recording of the bus driver's voice, and her perfume bottle fell from her hand, smashing to pieces on the floor. She immediately became desperate, begging me to just hold on a minute and listen to the boys. I insisted that she still have AP come get her and never bring her back. She was too panicked to cry, just hyperventilating insane. She would have nowhere to stay because her home was with me and the boys. I refused to give in to her. I called the bus driver again, this time on speakerphone. He answered in a weary tone. I told him I knew what was going on, and he needed to come pick up my wife because she belonged to him now. He quickly told me to slow down, that he was married, and he didn't want to get involved in any drama. My wife's face felt when she realized just how bad her situation was. I just shrugged and hung up while my wife started redialing his number in vain. Just before I left, I heard her leave a voicemail, telling him he needed to come pick her up and get her a place to stay because this was all his fault. I suppose she continued calling him late into the night until she found his wife on social media and publicly begged her to tell him to call her because she needed to speak with him urgently. This obviously raised suspicions that led to her discovering the truth. My wife had been dating and sleeping with her husband, our children's bus driver, for an entire year. I had no idea it had been going on at all, let alone for so long. I felt like an idiot for failing to look into my wife's whereabouts sooner, but I truly believed she was spending time with her mom. She was, but only very rarely. AP's wife slandered my wife's name through the school and all over town. AP was so ashamed and willing to do whatever it took to gain his wife's forgiveness. He ghosted my wife and even stopped getting on social media. He tried in vain to prove loyalty to his wife in hopes things could go back to normal. They never did. For any of us, My wife was morally embarrassed that her lover had given her up at the first sign of trouble, and that in her attempts to get his help, she broke his family apart and made things worse for herself. I also josed her until a visitation schedule was made and I was awarded primary custody. Her desperate affair cost her her reputation, self-confidence, and family. She isn't the same as she was, and I doubt she'll ever be. I'm thankful I'm not the one that has to figure out how to live with myself without my kids because of some stupid mistake that shouldn't have happened. AP even apologized to me, explaining that when he started seeing my wife, he was in a bad place in his own marriage. He justifying said that he was a bad person, seeing my wife by deciding that he only needed to rely on someone emotionally. Emotional support turned into physical, and then before he knew it, they were living a double life and got caught red-handed. Today's second story. In this story, a 28-year-old man, happily married to Ella, notices her strange behavior. Late work nights, secrecy with her phone. Investigating, he discovers her infidelity with Jacob. Confronting both, he exposes their affair to Jacob's wife, Mandy. Seeking revenge, he traps Jacob into a meeting with Mandy and Ella, ending both relationships. He rebuilds his life, finds self-worth, and discovers new love. Now let's get into the story. I'm a 28-year-old guy, and I've been happily married to my awesome wife Ella, who's 25 for about 3 years now. We're the kind of couple who knows each other so well that we finish each other's sentences and laugh at each other's silly jokes. Life has been pretty great, or at least that's what I believed. Recently, though, I couldn't help but notice that Ella has been acting a bit strange. She started staying late at work more often and became all secretive about her phone. It might sound weird, but call it a gut feeling or just intuition. I had this hunch that something might not be quite right. After weeks of trying to push away those troubling thoughts, I finally decided to confront the situation head-on. It was nerve-wracking, but I knew I needed to find the truth, even if it meant facing some painful realities. Late one night, while she was asleep, I planned to check her phone and go through her messages and apps. I had never done something like this before, but I hoped it would give me some clarity, and deep down, I prayed that my gut instincts were wrong. As I was swiping through her photo gallery, my heart sank when I saw a picture of her with an unfamiliar man kissing her cheek. I couldn't help but think, what on earth is going on? Why would she do this if she was happy with me? My curiosity led me to read her messages, and that's when I discovered a chat with a guy named Jacob. They had been meeting up at hotels, and their conversation was filled with very explicit and intimate details. It was a painful and shocking revelation that left me feeling betrayed and hurt. I never thought I'd find myself in a situation like this, but now I needed to figure out how to confront her and talk about what I had discovered. I was feeling a whirlwind of emotions, furious and heartbroken at the same time. The person I loved the most had betrayed me by cheating with another man. Trying to process it all, I decided to sleep on it and confront Ella in the morning. When morning came, she looked really stressed and anxious. She must have noticed that her phone was moved from her usual spot on the bedside table. Annoyed, she asked me if I had gone through her phone. With a calm expression, I told her to stop pretending because I already knew she had been cheating on me. To my complete surprise, Ella broke down and admitted that she had cheated because she felt bored with her life and Jacob, the other man, was also married. She went on to reveal that they were in love, and that Jacob's wife had no idea about their affair. As she divulged more and more details, my heart sank, and it felt like my world was collapsing around me. It was after that moment that I felt a sense of responsibility not only to myself, but also to Jacob's unsuspecting wife, Mandy. She deserved to know the truth about what was happening, so I made up my mind to talk to Mandy about everything. I knew it wouldn't be an easy conversation, but I couldn't let her continue living in the dark. To reach out to her, I reached out to her on social media after finding out Jacob's social media when I was going through the messages. I asked her if we could meet privately to talk, and she was hesitant at first, and then I told her that I have something to tell her about her husband. Then she agreed, and we decided to meet at a quiet cafe. As I started to share the truth with Mandy, her face went through a roller coaster of emotions from shock to disbelief, and finally, heartbreak. It was clear that this revelation was painful for her to take in. Despite the heartache, Mandy appreciated me telling her the truth. She deserved to know what was happening behind her back, and I hoped she would gather the strength to confront her cheating husband and find a better path for herself. Seeking revenge can be a risky game, but I wanted Jacob to understand the pain he caused both me and Mandy, so I decided to give him a taste of his own medicine. I created a fake social media account and began flirting with Jacob, knowing he wouldn't be able to resist. I portrayed myself as a single woman, looking for excitement and adventure. Sure enough, Jacob fell right into the trap, and we started chatting regularly. I couldn't help but think about how Ella would react when she discovered that her supposed true love is also cheating on her. I played my part to perfection, leading Jacob on and making him believe that there was a more between us. I could tell he was excited and eager to meet in person. That's when I decided to drop the bombshell. I revealed my true identity and confronted him about the affair with Ella. To make things even more intense, I asked Mandy to be there with me, and I also ensured that Ella would be present too. When we all got there, the expressions on Ella's and Jacob's faces were absolutely priceless. Mandy didn't hold back and told Jacob that she was divorcing him and done with their relationship. At the same time, I didn't spare Ella the truth either. I let her know that she was not alone. That her so-called lover Jacob had come to meet me, thinking I was a woman to hook up with. To add to the drama, I handed over the divorce papers to her. The shock and guilt in Jacob's voice were evident as he tried to explain himself, but I wasn't interested in his excuses. I wanted him to feel the same pain he caused others. After that confrontation, I cut all contact and walked away, feeling a mix of satisfaction and sorrow. Ella looked equally confused and she started to cry, begging me to stay and that she still loved me. I didn't believe anything she said. I told her that I will give her a week to pack up and leave my house, and I walked away. It felt amazing to get back at her, and more, it felt amazing to pick myself up for once. I deserve better and I know it. In the weeks that followed, the pain slowly began to subside, and I focused on rebuilding my life. With the support of friends and family, I rediscovered the person I was before the betrayal, and I started to heal. During this time, I also took the necessary steps to finalize my divorce from Ella. It was a challenging process emotionally, but I knew it was the right decision for my own well-being and happiness. As for Mandy, she and I developed a strong friendship. Going through similar experiences connected us in a unique way, and we both found solace in each other's company. Mandy decided to move on from the painful chapter of her life and focus on her own growth and happiness. In the months that followed, I immersed myself in new hobbies, career opportunities, and social activities. I surrounded myself with positive influences and took the time to rediscover what truly made me happy. Through self-reflection and personal growth, I came to realize that my worth wasn't defined by anyone else's actions or choices. I learned to love and value myself, and that newfound self-respect allowed me to attract healthier relationships into my life. Eventually, I met someone new, a kind, understanding, and loyal person who appreciated me for who I was and treated me with the love and respect I deserved. We took things slowly, allowing trust and affection to blossom naturally. This relationship taught me that there is hope for love after heartbreak, and that the right person can come into your life when you least expect it. As for Ella and Jacob, I heard through the grapevine that their relationship was short-lived after the confrontation. The trust they once had in each other was irrevocably shattered, and they went their separate ways. In the end, I chose not to dwell on revenge or bitterness. Instead, I focused on my own growth and happiness. The experience taught me valuable lessons about trust, forgiveness, and the importance of prioritizing self-love. Today's third story. In this story, OP meets his girlfriend at a party, bonding over shared values. Despite her trust issues from past cheating, they build a strong relationship. However, she accuses him of infidelity, leading to strain. Later, she orchestrates a loyalty test, revealing her own infidelity. He ends the relationship, finding support from friends. He then finds happiness with a coworker, Jane, free from suspicion and filled with trust. Now let's get into the story. My girlfriend and I met 3 years ago through some mutual friends at a birthday party. We were both single at the time, and we happened to be standing by the snack table at the same time. I thought she was cute, so I struck up some conversation and we hit it off. From the beginning of our relationship, I could sense that our connection was deeper than anything I experienced with anyone else. I loved being around her. She was funny, she was cute, and she was very ambitious in her goals. She was upfront with me at the beginning of our relationship about some trust issues that she had. In the past, she had been cheated on by numerous partners. I had never cheated, and I never planned to. I've always thought it was one of the lowest things you could do in a relationship. There's never a good reason for cheating, and if you are having second thoughts about a person, it's always best to talk to them and either work through those feelings or end the relationship. She was happy that I agreed with her on that, and we had a solid foundation to build our relationship. About a year into our relationship, she started suspecting that I was having an affair. I did everything in my power to show her that I wasn't, but she was still very insecure about it. It put a lot of strain on our relationship because I felt like I was constantly under scrutiny. I genuinely was not doing anything, so I was offended that she would think that I was. However, at the same time, I understood that she was coming from a place of trauma and she couldn't help what she was doing. I tried everything I could to prove to her that she was the only one for me. Eventually, she understood, and we moved forward. Just a little background on me. I was raised by a single mother, and I have 4 sisters. All of my life, I have been surrounded by women, so I know how to treat them. Because of this, I do have a lot of female friends. I cannot stress this enough. Absolutely none of them are the stereotype of the girl best friend that you see online all the time. None of them want to be my friends, to sleep with me. At work, we had a new hire, let's call her Jane. I oversaw all of the training for her, and over the weeks we spent working together, we established a little friendship. I didn't think anything of it. She was a coworker and someone that I talked about Marvel movies and video games with. She had my phone number, and one night, she texted me a link to an article announcing a sequel to a video game she and I were both fans of. She was new to the city, and I knew that she just wanted to meet people to hang out with. It really wasn't a big deal. However, my girlfriend saw the message, and she was instantly questioning me about why Jane was texting me. I was exhausted, and I really didn't want to get into a big fight with her, so I just told her it wasn't an issue and I went to bed. Apparently, my dismissive behavior was very alarming to her, and she thought it was proof enough that I was cheating. Over the next couple of weeks, she was constantly hounding me to show her my phone and prove to her that I was a real person, that I wasn't cheating. Every time she asked to see my phone, I showed her. I had nothing to hide, but then, out of nowhere, it all stopped. We never had a conversation about how she was sorry for how she treated me or how she realized I was being truthful. I just went home one night and suddenly realized that she wasn't accusing me of cheating on her anymore. Not long after that, the Instagram messages started. A woman named Sabrina started following me and messaging me on Instagram. She was very cute. Had I not been in a relationship, I would have maybe reached out to her and tried to set something up. But I was in a relationship, so I wasn't interested. Sabrina was very flirty over messages with me, but I consistently shut it down. She wasn't taking no for an answer when I told her that I had a girlfriend. So I went to my girlfriend and told her about the messages up front. The last thing I wanted was for her to discover that I was having this conversation and hiding it from her. My girlfriend was relieved that I told her about it. Shortly after, she confessed that she paid Sabrina to message me. Apparently, Sabrina had a modest side hustle by doing loyalty tests on other girls' boyfriends. She would reach out to them and see if they were willing to hook up with her when she was in their city. I was rightfully very angry after finding out she did this. I had already been put through a lot by her with her accusations, but this just felt like something else entirely. I hadn't done anything to make her distrust me, and her actively trying to get me to do something incriminating felt like a violation of our trust. After a long argument, I decided that I wanted to give her a little taste of her own medicine. I demanded that I get to look through her phone and see what else she had been doing. For someone so adamant about being able to look through my phone whenever she wanted to, She was very protective of her own. Immediately, I recognized that as being a red flag. She didn't want to give it to me, so I told her that if she didn't trust me to look at her phone after everything she had done to me, then I didn't know where our relationship was going to be going. I felt bad for throwing that ultimatum in her face, but I was very angry at the time. My girlfriend handed me her phone, and I found a lot of information that shocked me. At the top of her text message list was one of her ex-boyfriends. Specifically, one of her exes that she told me cheated on her 3 times and made her complete garbage. He had reached out to her and told her that he missed her and wanted to get back together with her. She confessed that she still had feelings for him, but didn't know what to do about it. Her ex started talking about all of the times they had together, and the conversation took a very intimate turn. My girlfriend then started intimacy with him and role-playing via text message. They had exchanged dozens of pictures and videos with each other. The entire time I was looking at those messages, my girlfriend was crying and begging me to forgive her for what she did. She swore up and down that she and him hadn't met up to sleep together, but through the context of their messages, I determined that was a lie. I should have seen the signs that her accusations about me cheating were just her projecting her own guilt onto me. I felt guilty for even having female friends at some points because of how insecure it made her. I was furious that she had made me feel so bad about the possibility that I was cheating on her when she actually cheated on me. I kicked her out of the apartment and I told her that I didn't want anything to do with her. She was crying and begging me to move past it. She tried to make it seem like her ex had manipulated her into sleeping with her, but I read the messages and it didn't seem that way. It seemed like she was more than willing to go back to the man that she still had strong feelings for. It was such a shame because I saw the future with her, and she threw it away for somebody who had no respect for her. I knew that if she got back together with him, they would break up shortly after because he was going to betray her trust again. After my girlfriend left, I tried to figure out what I wanted to do. She cheated on me with a jerk that she complained about throughout our entire relationship, and I was angry about it. We had the same friend group after the years that we had been together, and I told her that if something happens in a relationship, the friends are naturally going to be forced to take a side. I didn't want her getting in their ear and convincing them to take her side. I reached out to one of my good friends who also happened to be one of the biggest gossips in her friend group. She came over and we talked about what happened, and she told me about how wrong everything was. Within days, everybody else in her friend group had texted me and told me that they were sorry about what happened. I knew that my friend had told everyone, and I had a good chance of winning their favor at the end of our relationship. As it turns out, I made the right choice because none of them were willing to let my girlfriend stay with them after I kicked her out. They were all angry with her about her actions, and they made sure that she had to face the consequences of them. She ended up moving back in with the ex that she cheated on me with. Through the grapevine, I was able to learn that she had dated him for a few weeks before he told her that he didn't want to be exclusive with her. She was obviously very unhappy about that, so she moved back in with her parents. As it turned out, my girlfriend was right to be suspicious about Jane. Apparently, she did have a bit of a crush on me, but I didn't realize at the time. After a few months of being broken up with my girlfriend, I opened up to Jane about it at work, and she confessed that she had feelings for me. Jane and I have been dating for a year now. It's a much better relationship than what I had with my ex. I never feel like I'm being constantly judged or accused of cheating, and there's actually trust in our relationship.